Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome back to Zooming into the weekly Parsha. I hope one day we'll actually be able to Zoom together in reality when we're sitting together and learning the weekly Parsha. In the meantime, we'll continue in this venue. We have in this week's Parsha, PARSHAS SEITZEI, as it says in the very opening line of the Parsha, SEITZEI LaMelchama Aleivecha. When you go out into battle against Oivecha, your enemy, when the Son Hashem Elokecha biyadecha, and Hashem will place your enemy into your hand, v'shavisa shivya, and you will take for you one of their captors. And then the verse goes along to tell you if you find a beautiful maiden from the other nation, and she's so attractive to you, and you can't hold yourself back, you'd like to marry her, or at least you'd like to lie with her carnally. So the Torah says, no, don't take her right away. First, you bring her into your home, you remove all of her beautiful garments, you make sure she cuts her hair, shaves off her hair, she lets her nails grow long, she sits in the middle of your house, she cries and she mourns over the loss of her parents. And then after all of that, she goes through this 30-day mourning process. And she's sitting there in your house and she looks with all of the red eyes and the runny nose for this 30 days. She still looks good to you afterwards, and she converts. Then you can marry her and she becomes your wife. Okay, but we're not going to focus in on that part of this story over here. Rather, I want to go from the very beginning. When you will go into battle against your enemy. And the Mefarshim, the commentators ask right away, why does it say Oyevecha, your enemy, singular? It's Ol Oyev, on the enemy. What does it mean when you go into battle against your enemy? This is the enemy of all the Jewish people over here, whoever it is that they're fighting. So the verse should have said that when you go into milchama, when you go into battle against the enemy of Klal Yisrael, who is Oyevecha, this personal enemy that the person is fighting against. When the Son Hashem Elokecha biyadecha, when you go into battle against your enemy, and you win the battle in the right way, you have to recognize that Hashem Elokecha, Hashem your God, is the one that's placing this enemy into your hand. In the Sfarim HaKadoshim, the more mystical works that we have, here we have in the Nesiv Shalom, we see in others as well, they learn out based on the Zohar and based on the Hasidic Sfarim, the following idea. And that is that it doesn't mean over here that when the Jewish people are going out to battle, and you have soldiers, and you have warriors, and you have warfare, and you have the enemy army that is coming against the Jewish nation, and they're going to put up a fight, and therefore you're going to go with all of your battle plans and fight them. That's the simple explanation, but that's not what we're referring to over here. Rather say, the Mefarshim say, our commentators so beautifully, that in reality, the Oivecha, the enemy, your enemy, is nothing less or nothing more, we would say. It is talking about the eternal battle and struggle that every single Jew has with inside themselves. The enemy that we are all confronting and we are all going up against on a daily basis, constantly, is the Yetahara, is our evil inclination. And that is your enemy. Why? Because you, each and every one of us, has a Yetahara that was tailor-made exactly what you need. The challenges that need to come your way. What are going to be your desires? What are going to be your faults? What are going to be your deficiencies? What are going to be your struggles? Every single one has Oivecha, your personal enemy, that is laying down the warfare, and he has all different tricks, and he has all different types of plans that he has to get in there into your heart. And therefore, when you go out to battle, that's number one. When a person is going up against the Yetahara, they have to realize we are going out to battle. This is not a game. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a nice stroll down the beach over there in Santa Monica. No. This is a milchama chazaka. It is a raging battle that a person is entering into. But even if we didn't go through the basic training, even if we're not a commander-in-chief, even if we're not a colonel, with all the stripes on our side over here, that doesn't matter. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu implanted inside each and every one of us everything that we need to know in order to be able to enter into the battlefield and to beat Oivecha, your or our personal yetzera, evil inclination, which is there. And therefore, when the verses over here are speaking about the battle, speaking about the war, speaking about the enemy who is there in front of us, trying to confound us with all of his strategies, we're talking about a very private and personal battle that every single one of us has to fight on a daily basis. And that is the battle that takes place between ourselves and the Yetahara. In the Sefer Orchos Tzadikim, he brings over there the following Maisa, the story, that there was once an army that went out to war, and they were fighting a giant army that was going against them. And this army was laden with all of their guns and all of their swords and their spears, and they had all the weaponry, and it looked like, of course, that they're going to win. However, the other army was determined, and they had chutzpah, and they went in there with all of their might, and lo and behold, the miracle of miracles, they defeated the great and the mighty army that looked like it would overtake them. And as they were returning from the battlefield, and they were cheering themselves on, and they were celebrating the victory dance, that they were so proud of themselves that they actually won the war that nobody thought they could do. Suddenly they meet up with Chassid Echad, with one righteous, pious individual. And he asked them, what are you getting so excited about? You're celebrating, you're drinking some schnapps over here, you look so happy. What's all the cheering about? And they told him, you don't know, you didn't hear. We went into battle, we were the underdogs, it looks like we're going to lose, but we banded together as one, and with our might and our courage and our strength, we beat the enemy army. And since it was such a miraculous victory, we are celebrating that we never celebrated before. And this one righteous man looks at them and he says, I'm not so sure why you're getting so excited about that battle which you fought and you won. There is a much greater battle that you must confront right now. And as a matter of fact, all of us are going through this war all of our lives. And that is the battle with the Yetahara. He just keeps bouncing back. You go once and you defeat him, and you think you're carefree, you're home free, you're ready to go. The next thing you know, he comes from another direction. So you beat him in that area as well. And then you're going along life and things are good and you feel very pumped up about everything that you're doing. And the next thing you know, boom, he comes out of left field with some more warfare and strategy. Maybe it's some kind of cyber warfare that he has going on just to try to bring you to your knees. And you win battles and you lose battles. And you get injured every once in a while. And he picks away at the person, at our emunah, at our faith, at our bitachon, our trust in Hashem, in our love of the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what he's designed for. And then a person picks up the pieces and they go back into the war again. And they win this time. And then we feel good about ourselves. We feel strong and mighty. We can do it. And then the next thing you know, a battle that you were never expecting, a challenge that came unexpected to you. And the Yetahara gets you once again. And this is the vacillating lives that all of us live constantly, every single day of our lives. And that is, we will win some and we will lose some. But the battle will never cease. There will be quiet moments in that field, in that battlefield. There will be times when the wars are not so raging around us. There will be times when the enemy is not seen and it's quiet on the battlefront. But nevertheless, as we are learning over here, Ki SEITZEI leMilchama, when you go out every single day of your lives to the battlefield, Al oivecha, against your enemy, the one who wants to come and destroy you and bring you to your knees and wipe you off the map of the battlegrounds so that he can claim to be the champion. And the Nesiv Shalom says over here something extremely beautiful. He writes over that what is the purpose of a person in this world? Why did we come down to planet Earth? There is a world up in the heavens called the Olam HaNeshamas, the world of the souls. And your soul is very satisfied over there. It's basking in the glory of the Shekhinah, the divine presence. It's surrounded by all these other holy and pure neshamas, souls that are there. It's able to have the beauty and the splendor of ruchnius, of true spirituality, and it's totally at ease and totally at peace. And yet we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't allow that charade to last for too long. Because at the right time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to your neshama, and he says, Neshama, my child, it's time to go down to the world over there. And as the Zohar tells us, it puts up a fight. It says, leave me here, I don't want to go there. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, you don't understand. You were not created to sit over here on your lounge chair, sipping your pina colada with the sands of Tahiti running through your toes. That's not why you came to this world. On the other hand, he says, Yeredes mimokam gevaya. You are going to leave this high, lofty place. And you are going to go, he says, Me'olam haneshamas al makam namuch. You're going to leave this high world of the souls and go to a lowly world down there. Olam atuluais v'atayvais. A world of confusion, a world of taiva, of lusty desires. And you're going to go there. Why? Because hamatara, the mechama aleivecha, the goal of all of life is to jump into the battle and fight against the enemy that is there in front of you. And that's what it says over here. Shetzarich miyad liftoich b'mechama shelema'ana yored la'ilam hazeh. And that's how he learns the verse. Ki seitzei lemechama, when the neshama leaves the world up there. And it comes down to this world. Where does it go immediately? It jumps on the horse. It gets into the chariot and it goes head first into that milchama, into the battle that is going on. And lemana yored la'ilam hazeh. And for that reason, you came down to this world. You came down to this world to fight the fight. You came down to this world to engage the Yetahara in the battle. You came down in this world to overcome the spiritual challenges and step over the pitfalls and jump over the hurdles. Laman, that's why you came to this world. In order that you should achieve your special, unique place by fulfilling your tafkid, your purpose in your life. The whole reason that a Jew came down to this world, in order to fulfill his lofty and high up tafkid, his purpose, and that is shahatil Allah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem has placed upon us. So when you come to this world and you open your eyes and you look around and you see struggles on this side and struggles on that side, and you've got this internal battle that sometimes churns within inside the person, and it's hard to make the right decisions. And there are people, they are planted, there are booby traps all over the place in our life, ready to explode at any minute. And it's not so easy sometimes to know what is right and what is wrong, how to overcome this challenge or this adversity, or what are the tactics that I should use over here. Nevertheless, Lekach Nivra, for that reason, a person was brought down into this world. We were brought here to fight the battle. We were brought here to go into the challenge, and of course, the ultimate goal is to overcome the challenges that will come our way. And if a person does that he enters into the milchama al oivecha, against your enemy. Remember, nobody else in the world today, nobody else in history previously, and nobody else in the future of mankind will ever have the enemy that you yourself were granted. Nobody will ever have the challenges that you yourself were given. Nobody will ever have the struggles, external, internal, spiritual, emotional, and everything in between. Nobody in the entire universe, from beginning of time to the end of time, has ever had an oivecha, an enemy, a yetzera, the way that you do. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows exactly what you need in order to fulfill your tafkid, your purpose, your goal, and your role here in this world. And therefore, a person has to be a fighter. They have to be someone that believes so deeply in the koyach, in the power that they have inside of themselves, that no matter what battle is going on in front of them, no matter what they are being confronted with and confounded with, a person has to believe inside themselves, it's impossible that I don't have the abilities to overcome this fight that is there. Otherwise, HaKadosh Baruch Hu never would have given it to me. And he brings over here, he brings from, I believe that it's from his father or grandfather, the previous Slonim Rebbe, who said over the following, such a powerful statement. And he said, Sheyayim, Sheyehudi, La'asabay Me'uma Lahachis Es Yetahara. If there would ever be a day in a person's life where he doesn't do something to aggravate the Yetahara, to take on the challenge in the battle, and to do his best to overcome him and to beat him, on a day that a person doesn't do that, Einoi Nechshav Liyoim B'chayim, it's not considered to be a day in his life. Since that the meaning of life is you came to this world to fight, you came to this world to overcome, you came to this world to make yourself into a greater person and elevate your neshama one level, one rung on the ladder after the other. And the only way that you're going to do that is if you're in the milchamas hayetzer, battling the Yetahara. That means you have to engage. In warfare, sometimes you have to be able to see which direction to go. You have to know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants of you. Try it every single step so you can overcome the wiles of the Yetahara. So if a day passes in your life that was just, so relaxing, so peaceful, it was so easy today, from the moment I woke up in the morning till the end of the day, not one single struggle, not one battle, not one challenge, not one question in my mind, am I doing the right thing or not doing the right thing? Not one pressure that was coming externally or internally, nothing. It was just such a nice day. It was so peaceful, like a vacation. Says the previous Slonim Rebbe, Einai Nechshav Biyoim B'chaim, it's not considered to be a day in your life. Because our life is about growing. And our life is about raising ourselves up. And our life is about accomplishing. And since that the reason that we were sent to this world was to make the greatest accomplishment of all, to overcome the devices of the Yetahara. If the Yetahara is non-existent and absent from a day in our life, it's as if we are not living. Well, if that's the case, why is the Yetahara called Ra? Why is it called the evil inclination? If the way that we're describing things over here, the Yetahara really is a very wonderful thing. Because the reason you came down to this world and to fulfill your tafkid, to fulfill your purpose here is fight the battle, fight the war, overcome and win. If there's no Yetahara, there's no battle, there's no war. If there's no war, then you're not living. If you're not living, then you're not fulfilling your obligations and your purpose in this world. So why is the yetzera called Ra? Why is it called evil and bad? It almost sounds like this is the key to our success in the world, which sounds like a very good thing. And as a matter of fact, the Midrash itself intimates this question. Because on the sixth day of creation, after HaKadosh Baruch Hu created an entire universe with everything inside of it, exactly what we would need to live for thousands and thousands of years, HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks back on creation and he says, it was toiv ma'od, it was very good. And the Midrash is bothered. On every other day of creation, when Hashem looks back at what he made, what he shaped, what he formed, what he fashioned, he says, toiv, it was good. It was good. Day one, it was good. Day two, it was good. Day three, every day was good. Suddenly on day number 6, toiv ma'od, it's very good. What was so very good about the last day of creation? So the Midrash says, toiv ma'od? What was very good about that day of creation? Harezu Yetahara, that's referring to the Yetahara, the evil inclination, the hand-picked, tailor-made enemy that resides inside each and every one of us. The Yetahara is not such a bad guy. He's actually toiv ma'od, he's very good. Because without him in your life, without his tricks and his plans and his challenges, without his voice, that is the voice not of reason, that is always going against what you know to be right and you know to be just and true, without his treachery and his cleverness and his crafty ways, a person would never be in a battlefield. And if we would never be in the battle, if we would never fight the war, then we will never be able to fulfill our purpose here in this world. Remember, the battle is how a person becomes stronger. The battle is how they become greater. I just received an email recently from a woman who's probably, I would say now, probably in her 60s. And she went through nisyona, she went through troubles and tribulations and challenges in her life. And for 25, 30 years, it's impossible to describe the emotional test that this woman had to go through in her life. And you would think that after a person had gone through all of this, she would be a broken vessel. She would be a person that would either be so fed up with this world, was so angry with Hashem if she would still believe in Hashem, that she would just be a total wreck and destroyed in human being. However, it's the exact opposite. This woman is one of the most upbeat, positive, happy, balis amuna, woman of faith that possibly you would come across in your life. And she wrote to me the following words in her letter. And she said, yes, it's true that I went through many challenges. And along the way, I'm adding these words over here. The Yetahara in that life was so strong and so powerful. It's impossible to imagine. But she said, I would not trade in a single one of those challenges because I would not trade in the person that I am today. And had I not gone through that milchama, those battles, and those wars, had I not been up against the Yetahara on a daily basis, 25, 30 years, where I had to dig into myself and find what I really believe in the Rebbeinu Shalom, and dig into myself and realize what's really going to make me happy in life, and dig into myself and be able to learn how to be calm under adversity, and to appreciate what it means to be a Jew as Torah and mitzvahs in such a profound way. Had I not been on the battlefield, I would not be the incredible person that I am today, who is walking and fulfilling my tafkid, my purpose of why it is that I came here. The Yetahara is bad. He's evil. He's terrible. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he is toiv ma'od. He is very good. Because without him in our lives, we will not be able to accomplish anything. I was even thinking perhaps the word Ra, Reish Ayin, is the same letters as we find in a pasuk, Ve'afta l're'echa kamoicha. You have to love your re'echa, your beloved companion. You have to love them the way that you love yourself. A re'ah is someone that is beloved to you. It is a true friend. Achai v're'ai, my brothers and my friends. The Yetahara is not an evil entity that is here in this world to make your life miserable. On the other hand, he is Re'ai, he is our friend. He is our beloved companion. We schlep him with us wherever we go in life. Because it's only through the Yetahara that a person is going to be able to grow and to accomplish and to fulfill their tafkid, their purpose, and their role in this world. He's toiv ma'od, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem testifies that he is good. Yes, it's true. A yetzera that gets out of control, who keeps winning the battle and pushing us down and destroying us again and again and again, he becomes a very negative and bad force in our life. It's true. But when we take him on, and we understand what it is that we are supposed to do, and how we are to elevate ourselves as a result of our re'ai, of our good friend, Mr. Yetahara, he'll make us better than we were before. Then the Yetahara is toiv ma'od, the best thing that possibly ever could have happened to us. In the Zera Kodesh, the Sefer of the Rakshasa Rav, of Naftali Tzvi Horowitz, he writes over the following, and is explaining this idea of Yetahara. And he says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created man, so we know that he blew inside of us a piece of himself, which means there is a portion of godliness that is inside all of us. And what does that piece of godliness, that piece of the Shekhinah, our neshama, what does it want? Its nature of this entity that's inside of us, we'll call it our neshama. It desires tamid, constantly, to return to its roots, to return to its source. To cling this piece of itself, the neshama, to the ultimate source of where it comes from. It wants to go back to the place where all the souls of the Jewish people come from. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Since that your neshama is a piece of the Rebbeinu Shalom, it's only natural that it wants to go back from where it came. It wants to go back to Hashem. And therefore it's mishtaikik. It has a strong passion and a yearning desire to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the time. So if that would be true, then we should look at in the world and we should see everybody allowing their neshamas to take over. And the neshama should be running day and night to do the will of Hashem. And the neshama should be elevating themselves, climbing higher and higher heights constantly. And yet, Puk Chazi, take a look at the world and we'll see it just doesn't seem to be like that today. Why not? Says the Zera Kodesh, because Rakshasa and Hashem Yisbarach Shemoy, Ba'adam HaYetzahara, HaKadosh Baruch Hu implanted inside of a person an evil inclination. Hu roitze lahaktin ulamayit ulahabir chas v'shalom za'achelik elokah. Listen what the Yetahara was trying to do all of its life. It wants to diminish, and it wants to decrease, and it wants to obliterate and cause to be lost. God forbid, this godly portion called your neshama from yourself and from this world. It wants to uproot the neshama completely from the land of the living, from the world of kedusha, of truth, of holiness. It wants to eradicate it. So that you'll just be your body. You'll just be your animalistic desires. You'll just be all of the yearnings that a person has for the wrong things, for the bad things in the life. That's what the yetzera is trying to do. Umeisisu tamid, it's constantly poking away at the person. And it says, you don't need Hashem. You don't need to be so holy. You don't need so much kedusha, ruchnius in your life. You don't know, the Yom Meroyim are coming up. What, are you going to be one of those Jews who screams during the Elah? Hashem hu Elokim. Come on. You're screaming already how many years? Is Hashem hu Elokim? Did he come to your life? The yetzera works so strong in a person that all that he wants to do is to uproot his very essence and sense of true self, which is that I am a portion of the Rebbeinu Shalom. My neshama, my soul is godliness. The yetzera doesn't want you to believe that for a second. Rak leilech acher tayvos. Rather, the yetzera will be very happy if you will chase after your desires. Vishar averos, and all other sins that you can indulge yourself in. Shem mesachim hamavdilin miledovik. They are the barrier, they're like the mask that covers up and blocks the connection that we have to being close, elokah, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, b'shorasho makoroi, who is our source and the root of all of our existence. The yetzera sounds pretty bad at this point. What does he want to do? He wants to destroy us. He wants to ruin our lives. He wants to come along and say, don't worry about holiness. Don't worry about Torah. Don't worry about mitzvahs. Don't worry about your neshama. You'll have plenty of time for that in the world to come. Don't worry about it over here. You're here to party, man. Live it up a little bit. Chill out a little and have a good time. You got tithes, you have desires, let yourself indulge. You want things that are against the Torah? It's okay, give it up a little bit. You like being close to Hashem? You don't really like being close to Hashem. It's so overwhelming when you're close to Hashem. You're under his nose all the time. He's watching everything that you do. He hears everything that you say. What do you need that for? You're a masochist? You're a sadist? What do you need that for? Take it easy and relax and just do what you want. You'll be much happier that way. The yetzera is an enemy of drastic proportions, and he's trying to destroy us. However, Ama Hashem Yisbarach, Hashem says to each and every one of us, Re'ei nesati lefanecha hayoym es hachayim. I want you to take a good look and see that I'm placing in front of you Hayom today, which means every single day of your life. HaChayim v'Hamoves. I put life and death, Nesati lefanech, in front of you. And what should you do? B'charta b'chayim. You choose life. Listen to these words. Uletachli zeh. And for this purpose, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to use our bechira, our free will, and choose life. Bara Hashem Yisbarach yetzera. Since that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to choose life, to use our bechira, our free will, to make decisions that are strong and courageous and that are powerful. With this in mind, Hashem created the Yetahara. Because when a person will then, they will subjugate the Yetahara to him, and they will not listen to his voice and to his tricks and to his treacherous ways. And we will not follow his advice. Rather, we will choose life. Then we will be zeicha, we will merit to subdue the power of the Yetahara, and we will then rise up to the top. Says the Zohar Kodesh, a fascinating idea. As wicked and as evil and as horrific the involvement of the Yetahara looks to be in our lives, because his mission is to usurp us. He wants to destroy our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what do we need it for? Says the Zohar Kodesh, you need it. Why? Because the ikar, the main part of your life, is that you should be a b'charta b'chaim. You should choose true life and good life and a life of blessing and a life of goodness and a life of holiness and a life of godliness. That's what you should be choosing with your life. Would it not be for the Yetzahara involved in there that's challenging you and forcing you to make a decision in your life? What do I think life is really all about? What's the meaning? What's the purpose? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu put me here? What does he want from me? Would it not be for the Yetzahara in a person's life, you would never have the opportunity to fulfill the ultimate mitzvah of our existence of Ubacharta B'chaim, choose life. And therefore the Yetahara is not a wicked, evil entity. He's Reya, he is our best friend. He is our beloved companion who comes with us everywhere that we go. Because through the advent of the Yetahara, with his tricky ways, and with his plans and his strategies, and with the compulsion that he puts upon us, trying to get us to sin, I'm obligated to go deep inside myself and see how much koyach, how much strength I actually have, and make a decision that is real, a decision that bespeaks my tremendous admiration and my love and my appreciation of what Chaim, of what life is really all about. We find ourselves just weeks away from the glorious days of Rosh Hashana, Aseret Yemei Tshuva, Yom Kippur, and we will say on those days that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he is a Melech Chafetz B'chaim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the King who desires life. What kind of life does the Rebbe Shalom desire for us? What does he want to see us do in the up and coming year so that we should be zeicha to merit to walk into Tafshin Pei Aleph and have another year of life? He wants us to live our lives for what they were intended to be lived for. And that is, as we have seen tonight, Number one, our life is a constant battle, but that's good. Because that's how we get stronger. That's how we get greater. That's how we pull out the inner strength and tenacity and greatness that is bottled up inside of our neshamas that needs to be released into this world. And when a person is living in that kind of a lifestyle, then they are oila, they are going up and up and up and up and up, fulfilling their tafkid, their purpose, their mission of why Hashem took that neshama and brought it down to this world. And as the Zera Kodesh says, that we should prove to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are a becharta b'chaim. We will use our free will for the right things. And what is the right thing? When we choose life. What is life? Life, chayim amitiim, real life. Real life, which is what the neshama is mishtake. It desires. It pangs for that kind of life, which is the vekis in Hashem, getting closer to the Rabbi Shalom, feeling the warm embrace of Amunah, feeling the love, the Ava of our Melech, our Father in heaven, the King, feeling the simcha, the joy of a neshama that's connected to the Rabbi Shalom. That's chayim, that's the life that we are trying to lead and we are asking for. And when we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Melech, Chafetz b'chayim, Hashem is the King who desires such a life. He wants to know that we desire the same thing. And we are willing and we are able and we are committed in the up and coming year that we are going to enter the battlegrounds and we are going to know who our enemy is. And we are going to face him and confront him when we have the opportunities. And we will dig deeper into the treasures inside of ourselves and we will become greater as a result so that we will be able to write letters to people and we will tell them, I would never have traded in a single challenge that I went through in my life. I would not give up any yetzera that I had coming against me and trying to engage me in warfare in my life. Why? Because I became such a different person. Such an incredibly amazing, unique Eved Hashem, servant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And had it been any different, had Hashem loosened his grip, had HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed me just, peace, tranquility, take it easy, shalom alai, peace unto me, I have nothing to worry about, I never would have grown. I never would have become me. I never would have fulfilled the tafkid, the purpose, and the goal of which it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought me to this world. So as we will find ourselves pleading for life, chayim, toivim, good life, chayim shel bracha, a life of blessing, chayim shel chilutz at Sammys, a life in which our body is healthy and strong so that we can surge and forge forward with our mission in this world. Let's show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we appreciate this yetzera that you have given to us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, oivecha, personal enemy. It doesn't belong to anybody else because nobody else could handle my yetzera. Because exactly what it is that I need in my life to become the greatest me that I could become, that's the yetzera that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to us. And if I will use it as my beloved companion, I will use it as my friend, and I will remind myself what the previous Lanavar Rebbe said, that any day in my life that I don't battle and I don't aggravate and I don't try to overcome the yetzera, it's not considered to be a day of chayim, of real life. Then I will be zeicha, I will merit to live every day of my life as chayim amitim, true life, And that is going to be the way that a person creates the devekis, the closeness, that neshama tahara, that pure soul that each and every one of us has, desires to bask in that glory and in the presence of Hashem. I want to leave you off with one beautiful story here, just that we could understand the inner power that each of us have in our own battles, in our own struggles, in our own yetzaras that are not here to destroy us. Yes, if we let them destroy us, they will destroy us. If we become weak in our decisions, then they'll get us again and again and again, and then it becomes right, becomes evil. But if we will be strong and valiant and courageous, and we will take our weapons of defense in hand, then every single person, no matter who they are, will be able to defeat the Yetahara ubecharta b'chaim and choose the life that they want and that they need to live according to the directives and the beautiful ruts and the will of Hashem. This story goes back, it seems to me, probably into the 1980s, maybe late 80s, early 90s. There was a young man living in Pikesville, Maryland, right in Baltimore, and his name was Sammy, and he loved football more than anything else, his favorite sport. He was an amazing athlete already at a young age, and when he was finally old enough to play varsity football for the Pikesville Eagles, the high school team that he wanted to be a part of, it was like a dream come true. When he was a young boy, he would always go to the Friday night games. It was right in the neighborhood over there. And he would watch the players. He'd watch them run and pass and tackle and fumble. He watched it all. And he couldn't wait. He was dreaming till his moment of glory would shine. And he would find himself in the starting lineup of the Pikesville Eagles. And sure enough, when he came to the tryouts, the coach's name was Coach Bodin. And Coach Bodin, when he saw him, he remembered Sammy's father, who was an impressive tailback all those years in high school, one of the best on the field. And he said, Sammy, you remind me so much of your father. You're going to be great. You're going to be in the starting lineup. You're going to be a star. And when he would pass him in the hallways, in the locker room, when he would pass him in the school, he would tell him, Sammy, you're the shining star. You're a chip off the old block. You remind me so much of your father. Now, Friday night was something that was very special over here to Sammy Field, because it was always the night that the team played. And therefore, Fridays were earmarked, holy, so to speak. That was the night of the week that they would go and they would play. Whether it was cold, whether it was rainy, whether it was hot, whether it was muggy, whether it was humid, it didn't matter. The game must go on in those Friday night battles and those struggles on the field over there. They were the highlights of Sammy's high school career. Now you have to know that most of the players on the team, they were juniors, they were seniors. But certain freshmen that were so excelled so much in athletics, they were granted the special privilege of being on the team at a young age. And of course, Sammy was one of those boys. He came to the team. By the time that he was a junior, he was already all-star of the local team. And he was acknowledged for his excellence. He was an incredible, outstanding player. And he knew, though, he's only a junior. Soon he's going to be a senior, and the best is yet to come. And it's true, his senior year in Pikesville High School brought a lot of changes to his life. There was something over there called the culture clubs, where all the kids from different backgrounds could go and explore their culture. And once a week, there was a Rabbi Lehman that used to come to the campus and teach the young boys and girls on this high school what it meant to be a Jew. And Sammy found himself enamored by Rabbi Lehman. He found himself completely intrigued by the studies. And they began learning about what it means Judaism, what it means davening, what it means Yom Tov, what it means holidays, what it means Shabbos. And he was getting into it each week more and more and more. The exploration of what it means to be a Jew was fascinating to him. But that came with a problem. Sammy began to realize that there's something called Shabbos. And Shabbos begins from the time that the sun goes down on Friday night, and it doesn't end until the sun goes down again on Saturday night. And the one night of the week that the football team would play their games was Friday night, after the sun has gone down, Shabbos. And as he's going through his understanding of what it means, Judaism and the mitzvahs, each and every week it's getting a little bit more difficult for him to be out there on the playing field. He thinks to himself, it's Shabbos. I shouldn't be playing. I'm supposed to be home with the candles, with the food, with the singing, with my Rabbi. What am I doing? And one day he goes over to the coach to speak to him. And he says, Coach, I've got a bit of a dilemma over here. I started going to this club about Judaism, and I like it. And there's something called Shabbos, and you keep it Friday night till Saturday night. And the coach gave him a railing, and he said, don't you dare let those religious demons get in the way. Sammy, you're on your way to stardom. You're going to be starting on the team right now. We need you. Don't start with all of this religious baloney, please. So Sammy was going along, and they were coming down to the final game of the season. And if they would win that game, it would take them into the finals. And it was a big game. And everybody was getting pumped up. For the last 2 weeks, the quarterback, the regular quarterback, was not playing so well. And if that quarterback doesn't play so well, you have to put in the second one. And his understudy quarterback was none other than, yes, our friend Sammy. And the coach came over to Sammy a few days before the game and he says, Sammy, you know the quarterback has not been playing so well the last couple of weeks. I'm very tempted to start you in the game. And Sammy's heart fell out of his chest. It's Shabbos. This is the moment I've been waiting for to become the all-star quarterback, show everybody what I have. But it's Shabbos, what's going to happen? Sure enough, the game night comes, and the regular quarterback, Drew Miller, he goes in, and the first quarter is over, and their team is down already by 10. And the quarterback is having a lousy game. Comes the second quarter, the score doesn't change. Halftime break. Coach Biden comes, and he brings all the guys around together. And he says to Sammy, Sammy, this is your time. He says, I'm taking the quarterback out. I'm putting you in. Friday night. And the coach begins giving one of his big rousing pep talks. And he starts firing up all the teammates. And he starts telling them all of the following words. And he tells them, this game is going to be a turning point in your lives. And then he says, you're going to look back on this night one day. And you're going to realize that you searched deep down inside of yourselves. And you discovered who you really are. The strength that you really have inside of you. And what you're really all about. And Sammy's listening to these words. It's like a world-class drasha in a shul. And the coach pulls him to the side and he says, Sammy, this is it. You're in? And Sammy looks at the coach. And at that moment, he makes the final decision. And he says, no, I'm not in, coach. It's over. I'm done. You kidding me, says the coach. Are you kidding me? This is what you've been waiting for. And Sammy takes off his helmet. He takes off his shoulder pads. And he hands it to the coach, and he says, I'm done. And he walks off the field. And he started thinking about what the coach had said. This night is going to be a turning point in your life. You will one day look back and you will see on this day that you searched deep inside yourself and you saw who you really are. And for the remainder of that year, Sammy took a berating from the coach, from the other team players. They blamed him that they lost the game that night because he refused to be the quarterback and they didn't make it to the finals. But Sammy didn't care. Because just as the coach had said, on that night, he looked deep inside himself and he found out who he really was and what he was really made of. He found out that he had a Yiddish neshama, a Jewish soul that wanted to go back to its creator. Today, Sammy is Shmuel. And he's a Rebbe for children who love to learn from him and they love to listen to him as he teaches. And every once in a while, when the boys are out there on the yard and they're playing football, Sammy steps in and joins the boys for that game. And in those games, he gets to be the starting quarterback. We are holding in such holy days of our life. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to see that we are b'charta b'chayim, that we are people that treasure the gift and the opportunities that we have to choose life. And the way in which we're going to choose life is when we fight the battles within, without, internally, externally, wherever they might be. And when a person will do that, and when a person will engage in the war, and they won't be frightened, and they won't be anxious, and they won't feel daunting task in front of them because they realize it's oivecha, he's your enemy. And he's the one that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to you. And you are the only one that will be able to overcome your enemy. Then, as it says in the Pasuk, Unasanoi Hashem Elokecha biyadecha, Hashem will place your enemy in your hands. When you dig inside and you find out who you really are, what you're really made of and you're really all about, then you will be zeicher to conquer the battle, to defeat the enemy, to make him your reya, your companion, your friend in life, not the one that is ra, that is going to bring you down. And in that schus and that merit, may we all be zeicha, each and every one of us, and our loved ones, and our families, and our children, and our communities, and all of Klal Yisrael. May we be zeicha to Shal Kodesh Baruch Hu, the Melech Chafetz B'chayim, the King who loves life, that we also love life. And we should be zeicha to be signed and sealed in the book of life for Taf Shin Pei Aleph for 5781 on Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. Haba Aleinu L'Toiva, they should come upon us all for the good. Aksiva V'chasima Toiva to each and to every one of you. Have a very good night.